Good morning, guys. How's it going? Ivan Temokov here. Happy New Year to all of you. Hope you had a safe, exciting Happy New Year celebration.
Good morning, guys.
And I think I have some feedback on the background here. So, there we go. It's fixed. Welcome. It is a new year, new goals, new you. Well, hopefully it's the same you, but maybe new goals. And here's something I want to talk about because this is extremely important. And this is something that, by the way, I'm writing a new newsletter email for the Razor Sharp Digital newsletter. You can sign up at razorsharpdigital.com for that. And I wanted to talk to you guys about this. So, was it worth the $7.50 per hour? Oh, and by the way, just in case you're wondering what this is, take action today. That is my friend Jason's company, someone that I support and encourage. I think he's doing phenomenal things in sales. I'm absolutely excited to be working with him as well. So this is the swag that he sent me. By the way, I'm yet to feature in one of my videos on my YouTube channel, but let's go into the topic, guys. Was it worth the $7.50 per hour? Let me explain what I'm talking about here. My first job that I ever got was working at a local pizza joint by the name of Emo's Pizza. And I was the guy who was making the pizzas. This was at the age of 14. This was my first job. I was working after school during the weekdays and then working late hours on weekends, Fridays, Saturdays, and most Sunday nights as well. So at a very, very early age, again, 14 years old, at a very, very early age, I was showing interest in hard work, dedication, commitment. Bear with me for just a second here. So that was my first job. I was the cook. I was the guy who was cooking the pizzas, right? So 14 years old, school would get out around 2:30 p.m. on weekdays, and then I would go home and change, and typically I'd have to be at work by 4 p.m. Of course, at the age of 14, I couldn't really put it in, I couldn't put it in a lot of heavy hours. I couldn't put in extensive hours simply because of the age. And I also had school, so I had to allow time for homework as well. So when I started out, I was getting paid $7.50 per hour to make pizzas. Sometimes I would make salads. I would make sandwiches also. And at the time, it seemed like I really wasn't getting anywhere with this job. But what I knew is just that job had a purpose. That job was teaching me something. So when I started out at this job making pizzas and salads and sandwiches, I didn't know anything. I was completely incoherent to the business. So I had to learn the menu. I had to learn the process. I had to learn the recipes, how to make things, how to make certain pizzas, how to make sandwiches, how to make salads. At times I would also have to take orders also, which, was something that was really, really new to me. But, being a technologist at heart since I was a kid, it was very, very natural. So sometimes I would have to step up front and maybe take an order when everyone else was busy, because typically, a pizza joint gets really busy in rush hour, evening dinner time, and then specifically on Friday nights, Saturday nights also. So as I was working through it, and I worked there for a couple of years, 2 or 3 years, and of course, eventually I graduated to, being a head cook, and then, eventually I would take more orders and have more involvement. And eventually I started delivering pizzas also, which is when the money really started coming in. But before I got to that, there were a lot of repercussions that I had to overcome. So when I started out at $7.50 an hour, that's all I was making. And I constantly wanted to make more money, right? So I would work really hard. Sometimes I would work some long hours during the weekend. Sometimes I would be the closer also, which means that I wouldn't get out of there on Friday nights and Saturday nights until around midnight. So my parents would have to come and pick me up because obviously I didn't have a car at the time and take me home. Now, after a period of time in putting in these long hours, I started to get really tired. I felt like I wasn't getting paid enough and I was doing all this work and it just wasn't rewarding enough, right? So, and that's when things really started kind of taking a turn because I was putting in long hours. I was working really, really hard. And eventually, I became the guy that would be known for always going the extra step, right? When nobody else would do that or would take the time to do that. So I was the guy that, if there was a specialty pizza or a specialty client, like a regular client, the general manager would request that I made that order because he knew that I had the peculiar eye to be able to make that order. So I was dependable, I was someone that would get the job done. And, at that time being 14, 15 years old, I really didn't truly understand what that meant. But now later in life, and then, later on as I started getting older and as I eventually graduated to being a pizza driver, and then, when my professional career started later on, I realized that the significance of that is just that I was putting in the work and I was providing value to my employer. And as a result, that employer recognized that when nobody else was willing to put in the time and therefore started rewarding me. Things like eventually I got a raise, obviously, and I started getting more hours also. So just when I thought that, I was working for $7.50 an hour, I was ready to move on to the next opportunity, but that was around the time when I got a raise and then also started getting more hours. Over the summertime, I was getting a lot more hours. I was working a lot more. I was able to save up money also at the time. And then at the age of 15, I was able to travel. As a matter of fact, the money that I had earned that first year at the age of 15, when I was 15, I should say, actually helped me plan a trip overseas to see some of my extended family. So the point that I'm trying to make here, and the reason I wanted to share this story with you guys is because you have to understand that it's important to work hard. And sometimes it might feel like the value that you're delivering is not recognized or is not monetarily valued. But I can guarantee you that over the course of time, you will gain recognition. You will build up that reputation as being the person that's the go-to, someone who is reliable, someone who's committed. And that's the kind of reputation that I had built up, that even though I was this kid at 14 years old who started out $7.50 an hour to eventually escalated to being the pizza delivery guy, is that I built up a strong reputation of being the go-to when it came to specialty orders, or specific customers would even request that I made their order because they knew that I would put forth the attention to detail. And, this was a clear indication, I think, earlier on in understanding that I had the passion and the drive to do whatever it is that I was going to do later in life. I obviously knew that I wasn't going to work at a pizza joint for the rest of my life, even though so many people there obviously wanted me to, because of the level of commitment, the reputation, the dedication, the attention to detail that was putting forth. So much that when I turned 18, and at that point I was really only doing part-time pizza delivery because I was focusing on other things that were happening in my life. I was about to graduate high school, obviously, and move on, obviously. And, you know, there were so many instances too that when I would be working, right, as a part-time pizza delivery guy, that there would be so many requests that would come in requesting that, you know, customers that would come in to dine into the pizza place would ask for me and request that I made their order. And in most instances, if I was present at the store, for instance, I was waiting for an order to be prepared before I actually head out the door and deliver that order, then I would take the time to make that order for those customers. So there's several things that I learned in this exercise. For instance, things like dedication, commitment, attention to detail, how to build a reputation, how to become good at something and just keep on driving at that for as long as possible, as long as it takes, because there's a reward with that. You gain a reputation, you gain recognition. And, you know, I was this kid that was just making pizza dough, right? And pizza pies. And it wasn't like it was anything, you know, extensive or monumental that, you know, would ultimately grow my career. But the principle of that is the key point here. The fundamentally have to understand that master something, become really good at something, and be good at that, do it better than anybody else. And this was precisely why, you know, for many, many years after I stopped working at that pizza joint, I was still known as the go-to guy who was the fastest, that had the best quality, the most attention to detail, the one that was the most committed and doing my work. And, you know, that went a long way, because now after being 11 plus years, actually this is the 12th year that I have been professionally in digital marketing and doing marketing, well, altogether, I should say marketing now for 2 decades, because I started doing marketing and digital media at around the age of 13 and 14. But professionally, I've only been doing it since about 2005. So I knew that what I did earlier on as the 14, 15, 16-year-old kid, that would attribute to the growth and the potential in my career later on in life. And this is precisely why I want to chat with you guys about this, is because I wanted to emphasize the importance behind hard work, dedication, attention to detail, doing something better than everybody else. Because the reality of things is that the business world specifically is extremely saturated. And I think a lot of people think that there's no room for growth and there's no room for expansion. And my response to that is, that's bullshit, because there's plenty of fish in the sea. All you have to do is, not to sound cliche, but learn how to fish, you know, get the best fishing pole, you know, practice as much as you can, as often as you can, right? To use a personification. So the point I'm trying to make is become good at what you do, dominate that. Dominate it so much to where people start talking about you, start talking about the fact that you're the person that it's in that niche. And that's how you can establish recognition, by constantly giving value. Another thing that I wanted to share with you guys, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it here. I'm going to take it off my hand, but I have this wristband here. And let me see if you're going to be able to see that. It says, on the side, it says, give 100 to 1, if you can see that, okay? 100 to 1. And this is actually swag that I had gotten from my friend Jason. And this wristband, which, by the way, I wear on my right hand, as you can see, is a daily reminder that I always need to give more than I ask for. And that is what the definition of 100 to 1 is. Excuse me, something just got in my keyboard here. I was trying to clear. So 100 to 1 is basically giving more than you ask for. So this is extremely important, guys, because you have to understand that if you want to become known for something, if you want to master something, if you want to build a community, is always give more than what you ask for. And this is extremely important. This is why I have this wristband on my right hand that says give 100 to 1, because I'm a huge, huge fan of this. But also, there was precisely why I shared the story with you guys with my first job, because also for reasons we all started somewhere. Only a few of us, I would probably say less than 5%, maybe even only 1% of us had something served on a silver platter. These are people that maybe have trust funds, their parents were wealthy, won the lottery, whatever. But for the rest of us, the 99.9% of us, is just that you have to pave your way. You have to find what you're really good at, and find that passion, find that commitment, that attention to detail, and dominate that. Because I guarantee you that whatever it is you do in life, whether it's your career or your personal life, if you can dominate those things, then that's going to help you be more successful. In your personal life, it's going to help you be more happy, have a better sense of fulfillment. Also, in business, you're going to be able to dominate anything you put your hands on. And this is why I think that now, later on in life, especially since I'm now 2 years, coming up on a 2-year anniversary of running my human-centric digital consultancy, I'm starting to understand that all these basic fundamentals and essentials that I learned at a very young age, at the age of 13 and 14, when I was that kid making those pies and salads and sandwiches, that are absolutely essential to everything that I'm doing, because that is my competitive advantage. That is how Ivan, how Razor Sharp Digital, my startup, does everything better than every other company out there, every other marketing company out there. So I just wanted to chat with you guys about this and share this story, because one of the things, well, first of all, the storytelling is a huge part of my personal brand and my business also. And I wanted to share that with you guys because I think it's intricate to understand that, we're all alike, very much so. And the difference is how we do things, is the amount of time, the commitment, the attention to detail that we put forth. So in closing, I want to say that it was worth the $750 per hour. It absolutely was worth the $750 hour. And starting out and learning basic skills about craftsmanship and commitment and dedication and hard work also. And that attributed to the milestones and everything that happened later in life. So the advice that I want to give to you guys also is that stick with whatever you're doing currently. Develop a sense of persistence. Become really, really good at that, and then dominate that. Crush it. Absolutely crush it. Now, if whatever it is that you're doing, you're not passionate about, and you're dissatisfied, you don't have fulfillment, and I strongly encourage you to move on to the next thing and find something that you are passionate about. So that's all I want to talk about today, guys. I've got a little bit of brew that's left over that I need to drink before we hit noon here. And, well, I shouldn't say that there's a specific time for coffee because I'm always drinking caffeine. But I hope you guys are having an awesome Tuesday. Welcome back. New year, new you. I want to hear about your goals and what you guys are doing this year. Make sure you share it in the comment section below. And if you found this video helpful, I would really, really love it if you shared it with your network or someone specifically that you know that might need some inspiration, motivation today. So that's it, guys. Thanks so much for watching. I really, really appreciate it as always. And remember, take action today. Take care. Bye-bye.